Hey guys, this is Zlewikk. Welcome to another video about an unannounced game called Project Ceasar, which everyone knows it's EU5. If you want to watch my previous videos on this game, you can check the playlist in the video description. Because today we'll talk about Dynasties. Dynasties, characters, royal marriages, and how it will work in EU4. EU5. And we are of course presented with the Dynasty map modes of Europe and the surroundings. And one thing that I immediately piassed, Dynasty color is superior. There's no better color. Maybe Anjou Naples can come close, but no. Piast all the way. But yeah, let's take a look at the content itself. We're starting with characters. Before we delve into the dynamics of the Dynasty gameplay, we must first talk about the building blocks, the characters. Here's an European king and an early 18th century background. You see, we'll just get static backgrounds, probably depending on region, culture, and age on which the character is. While the look of the character, we don't know, it wasn't mentioned. I assume it might depend on the status of the country. Is it a kingdom? Is it a duchy? Is it a merchant republic, etc.? Culture again, and the age of the character. I assume this picture will be changing depending on the age. While not copying the Crusader Kings mechanics, a character in Project Ceasar is a bit more alive than it's, let's say, in EU4. A character is born, lives, and eventually dies. Every character has admin, diplomat, military attributes. You might say, oh, again, the same stuff like in EU4. Keep in mind, there's no mana in EU5. So these three attributes, there won't be from 1 to 6 like in EU4, they will be from 0 to 100, and they will just be impacting different aspects of game. Like for example, military attribute is gonna help you really being a better general. Some administrative is gonna help the cabinet. We don't know that yet, it's not mentioned in this dev diary. Okay, and one example is that the diplomatic ability of an admiral impacts the morale of the navy he leads. Newbull character starts with 0, so it's not like it's predetermined, maybe in Calvinist, but it's in general not predetermined what stance they're gonna have, but that grows until they are adults depending what childhood trait they have. You can also assign your rulers, children and grandchildren a specific education during their childhood. I'm not a big CK3 player, but I remember this was a thing in CK2. Is it a thing in CK3 as well? I don't know. CK2 had this feature and I actually liked it. Because you can shape into which direction your area is gonna go. It's a trait that when the area of the player, it increases the chance of hunting at these accidents by 200%. Only for the player, not for the AI. God damn it, Johan. Characters ruling a country will gain up to 3 traits. Like in EU4, you also get over time, the more you rule, the more traits you're getting. I think at the age of 15, age of 30 and 45, you're getting traits in EU4. I might be wrong by a few years, but you're getting 3 traits. It's gonna be similar here in Project Ceasar, but obviously the traits will be probably a bit different. Characters that are generals and admirals will also get traits after combat. There are also unique traits for characters that are redacted and other secret things. Characters have also a culture they come from, a religion they follow. They keep track of where they were born and where they are currently living. They belong to an estate, which for most of the characters tends to be a nobles estate. Of course, could be also a merchants or burghers if you're coming from this. So if you compare it to EU4, in EU4 characters had age, they had a religion, and they had a culture, right? I believe these are the 3 main things that they had. Here on top of that, we are also getting the place of born, where they are right now living, and which estate they belong to. Many characters also have a father and a mother as well. For some historical characters that start, it won't be true because there might be just not historical records of it. The number of spouses a character can have depends on religions and laws. The number of children they get depends more on the fertility of the parents. So that is more close to CK in general, right? So we have laws about the spouses, which wasn't really the case, like it was really static in EU4. While the fertility, you just had a modifier, right? Chance of a new heir in EU4. Here, it's gonna be actual fertility of the character. So what can you do with these characters? It's not Crusader Kings where they're super important and most of the stuff that you're doing is around the characters, the events, and the stuff they're doing. Instead, in this game, characters are tools to be used to the greater good, mainly getting the royal marriages. It means marrying off your daughter to secure an alliance with France, and that's what you have to do. You can Arrange marriages in your country and send less useful characters into convents, ennoble great people, and do much more. So actually the characters gameplay will be much deeper than EU4, because in EU4 you just send royal marriage, tick, done. You might have a preview, then the rule is the same, done. Here will be actual characters, so it sounds a bit more like Imperator Rome, again, where characters are not as deep as they are in Crusader Kings, but there's more stuff to do with these characters. They actually exist in game. But I think that's mentioned a bit later, it won't be as deep as in Imperator Rome. So it's gonna be something between EU4 and Imperator Rome. This is an Africa ruler, and he's from Rome, which, while beautiful, is just a background image. Again, it's not dynamic, it's just an image. Speaking of marriages, royal marriages in Project Ceasar are not just sending a diplomat. Here, it is far more limited, as you have to actually marry real characters, and often this is a vital action. If you can't arrange a royal marriage with a country of enough prestige that has a young consort, you may be forced to marry a local noble from your country, or worse, even a lowborn. A royal marriage between two rulers will immediately form a union between these two countries. And I assume it's not that easy to get a royal marriage, because usually rulers already have their spouses. Every country has its own inheritance rules, which, if they differ, might cause a union to break, as the rulers would be different. Then we are getting a dynasty tree of Bialbo. So if you remember the first map I showed, that's a ruling dynasty in Sweden. So you're having the past rulers, like there's Eric, Magnus, Valdemar, with their 3 stats. You see that the stats color, it is varying between bronze, if it's, I assume, below 33. It's silver, where it's somewhere in between, and it's gold if it's probably beyond 66. And there's a question, who was the founder of this dynasty? I'll Google it, and that's Valdemar, which was ruling Sweden for 1250. Dynasties are important as they impact diplomacy in direct and indirect ways, as some inheritors laws prefer their own dynasty, and having the same dynasty can improve opinions between the countries. As in almost all previous GSGs, Grand Strategy games, the game will keep track of who has ruled that country before, just so you can go back and admire them. We have tried to get in as much history as possible here, even if my Heaven content designer refused to have Odin as the original king of Sweden. By the way, about that, I usually use this ledger table in EU4 when I want to see how bad I rule at hers, not how good. So here's a ruling history of Kingdom of England, and you see they are actually including all of the historical figures, like probably the most known one is Richard the Lionheart, which was participating in one of the crusades. But yeah, this is it for the content itself. Let's jump into the comment section and see the feedback from the people and answers from our beloved Johan. Oh my god, it's real! The Habsburg Circle family tree will be real! Glad that this isn't going to be completely character focused, but at least allows us to see what they look like and their lineage. Awesome, I think that is also a good approach. It is not as plain as EU4, but also it is not Crusader Kings or Imperator Rome to make it super deep, so as Johan said, it is designed for greater things, for overall gameplay, not to go too much into details. This king also suspiciously looks like a 21st century Tinto boss. Can we secure our marriage already? The Mighty Knight and the Expert Scholar, those are most probably just placeholders for later. Oh my god, the comment I read, circular? Mobius strip is perhaps more correct. Let me just show you a Mobius strip. Here it is, Mobius strip, that's how it looks like. And again, Johan is saying that the goal of this characters is to be mostly flavor and impact on your diplomacy. I hope the family tree don't get buggy as in CK3 with hundreds of kids. Yeah, would not be good, would it? What happens if your dynasty ends because all the characters die? It depends who inherits the throne. You continue playing, but may get another dynasty. Can 3D models be turned off? I would like to have 2D models instead. pretty sure can mod it to have no portraits, but come on guys, they looked pretty good. By the way, will there be other historical rulers and characters besides those in starting date? Some characters that appear will be historical, but almost all new rulers come from mechanics. I think 3D models for characters are a bit out of space, and not really elevating to the degree where it deserves such a big portion of the UI. I think it's never really bigger than a small fraction of the screen. You're now telling us we're getting cabinets, because that's gonna be discussed next week, well before Victoria 3 will possibly dream of. Don't know about Victoria 3, but cabinets is a core mechanic of Project Ceasar. Will there be option to have a nickname for the ruler, like the Great or the Magnificent? Yes, there will be nicknames. Like El Presidento. This king especially looks like 21st century Tinto boss. I'm not that young and Sonia has no beard. And the Mighty Knight in Libya is a placeholder dynasty named Generation. Oh, Lambert, that's a good one. Yeah, I like it. So, what if a character gains traits from combat and then becomes ruler? Would there be a total of 3 trait slots? Or there will be 3 slots for ruler traits and 3 for combat traits? There are 3 slots for ruler traits and 1 slot for a combat trait. I must say I was always extremely skeptical having 3D characters models, because Victoria 3 absolutely butchered them and put little effort into them. But these character models look fantastic. Bravo team. I'm really happy with what our character artists have achieved. I think it is also good, but keep in mind we only saw 2 of them. I'm still a bit worried about how it's gonna look like through whole game and in some regions, but you know guys, I'm optimistic. And now we are on the other spectrum. Respectfully, I don't like it! Which of course you have a right to. Johan, hello there, thank you so much for replying to my post, because I said, can we all agree Piast Dynasty color is superior, and Johan is saying, I wanted to show the Piast Dynasty, but it was like huge. Yes, a month of like, because of rozbicie dzielnicowe, so like I don't know, the HRE of Poland was so big, there's so many little duchies, yet there are just too many Piasts. I assume they don't even have half of them in game. There's some sort of way to cause an assassination to a chosen character. No, not at the moment, not sure if it's a good idea. Yeah, let me know guys what you think. I'm also like 50-50. Now before we end, I want to quickly walk you through one more post from Johan from yesterday that was focused on the changes to the game based on your feedback. Let's take a look now at yesterday's post from Johan about a couple of changes that already did to the game based on your guys' feedback on Paradox Forum. So first of all, we've got diplomatic relations, and to be exact, diplomatic capacity. So EU5 will not have relation slots just like EU4 has, but instead there will be diplomatic capacity that is gonna allow us to have different vassals, allies, and other relation slots. And you'll see each of them is gonna generate a bit different cost, mainly based on their powers. The stronger the ally is, the more capacity they are gonna take, which is, I think, amazing change, because OPM Nevers is gonna be not as helpful as Austria or Poland in your diplomatic capacity. So that's how the calculation looks like. You see Flanders is probably a bigger vassal with less autonomy, so it costs 1.7, while the vassals of France on the bottom, they only cost 0.25. Because, yeah, those are probably the appanages. Here's the calculation for a capacity, so there's a base value of just 2. We've got outward kingdom, so the government rank is impacting that. French traditions, so we might expect national ideas or something around that. And the fact that they are a great power is also impacting this. Really interesting, especially the fact that you might have a much bigger capacity than EU4, and some vassal types take less than 1 of relation, so it's a much better calculation and much more dynamic than what EU4 has. There will be a new pop type that is called a tribesman, that is present in a lot of places in the world. Looks like they do not eat any food from our production, they're lower class, and even lower than peasants, and can be promoted to peasants if location can support more of these types. And obviously because of that there's also a new estate called the same. A couple of changes to the maps from the first Tinto maps, so the maps of lowlands. So first of all, they redid the coast and they removed stuff that was added to the coast after 1837. I think we might expect then that the game ends at that date. So the coastline looks much different. There are 15 more locations, 4 more countries: Zutphen, Bentheim, Bowling, and Heisenberg. Several naming corrections and also a lot of tweaks to terrains, borders, and cultures that I already mentioned in one of the past videos I created. Here's how the nation's map is looking like. There's a lot of changes that I did. Like Luxembourg has completely different size, and same as Liège, Trier. Flanders seems to be a subject of France at the start. And somebody said, so the tribesmen are basically the part of the population that lives outside of the economy, except for some special buildings, I guess. That's a good description, Johan is saying. This is, guys, showing really much how feedback is appreciated. Also, an answer to a lot of complaint I saw in my comment section that why would they post stuff it is not finalized yet? Exactly because of that. It's early stage, they want to get feedback and implement changes based on that, and then announce the changes in a separate post, like in this case, or maybe in a more in-depth diary that I will see in the future. And Johan is also saying that the results of the feedback from the other Tinto maps will be visible and shared as soon as they implement this. I think I missed a comment that they also did at a Dimi state. Yes. Okay, guys, I think this is gonna be all for today. I've read all of the comments are up till right now when I'm recording this video. Do let me know in comments, I think mostly what you think about the 3D characters. Obviously need some work and they have time to work on them, and there's just the more art they add to the game, the better. This is already much better than Victoria 3, right? So let's just have our fingers crossed. As said, I'm optimistic. You do let me know what you think. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video and how much I try to share with you, leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel to get notified about the next Tinto talks about the cabinets.